Hey there, comedy fans. Welcome to My First Joke, the podcast where we dive into the hilarious stories of how comedians got their start. I'm your host, Karim Kanji. Today, I am joined by comedian Keith Bender. Today's episode is brought to you by welcome to travel.ca. If you're looking for the best and most affordable, all-inclusive trips for you and your crew, check out welcome to travel.ca and tell them I sent you. All right. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoy what you hear, share it with your friends, leave a review, and hit us up with those 5 stars. All right, here we go. Here's my conversation with Keith Bender. Keith, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, did I sound like a radio? Was that my radio voice? What do you think?
hmm Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
um, Listen, how did you get started in comedy? Was it something you've always done for as far as you can long as you can remember, or?
I would say my dad was always funny. He was always the funny dude around the house.
All right.
Facial expressions, just yelling out stuff.
Yeah.
And then my mom was funny also, and I was the
Okay.
class clown at school. So just being silly, and my coworkers kept telling me, man, you should be a comedian. You should be a comedian, because I was always trying to be silly. And
All right.
it would always go in one ear and out the other until one day at break, our break would be finishing, and then one guy that I knew, his break would be starting. And one day it was just me and him sitting there, and he said, every time I come in the break room, you have everybody in here laughing.
Yeah.
I think you should, he said, I think you're missing your calling. And when he
Interesting.
said calling, that's when it clicked. And that's when I was like, because I always wondered, what am I supposed to be doing? He's good at this,
Mm,
she's good at that.
yeah.
And a lot of people are sitting on their calling and they don't even know it.
Mm,
So from that day on, I started writing. Like if I said something and everybody laughed, I wrote it down, piece of paper, napkin, or whatever.
yeah.
And then the next year, I went to this bar slash club,
Yeah.
which was in the hood,
Okay.
and phew, it was pretty bad. I
Okay.
bombed every Wednesday for months at that spot.
And you
But
kept on going.
and I never had the feeling of quitting. I just always knew, I know I can get them. I know I can get them. And that one night I said something stupid and the whole room laughed, and I was like, "Oh, this is what it feels like.
Ah,
Oh, I got to do this again. I got to get this feeling again." Because once you get that feeling of accept, because that's all it is, acceptance.
yeah. Yeah,
We
you're right.
accept you. You're funny, and once you do that, man, you like, oh yeah.
That's interesting. So you got started because someone said it was your calling, and you kept at it because you were determined to like, I'm going to make these guys laugh. They're going to laugh at something someday.
And it was the hardest room to make people laugh. When you go to the comedy club, they are there to laugh. When you go
Yeah,
to a bar
they're not
slash,
there. Yeah,
yeah, it's make me laugh.
yeah,
And they sitting there looking at you like,
yeah.
and you like, man, they on their phones, they talking next to each other, man. I don't know who this dude is, man. I don't know why he up there. And you can hear him.
Oh my God.
So if you can make it through that,
Yeah.
you can stand on that stage, you can stand on any stage.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Keith. Let's take a look at these two, the bombing, and they finally laughed when you said something stupid. Let's go back to some of your first bits. Do you remember a joke or a line that nobody laughed at? Like, or maybe you've wiped it from your memory?
I was trying new stuff every week. I was just up there saying something different every
Okay.
week, just seeing what would they bite on, and when you first starting out, you don't have a style.
Yeah.
You don't know how
Interesting.
to dress. You're trying to learn. You're trying to just figure out where you fit in,
Yeah.
and and plus I have all this on video. So I have bombing on
Oh,
video, and
that's
that's
interesting.
excruciating to watch.
That could be interesting.
So yeah. But yeah, all the stuff that I was trying to say was it just the stuff that you think is funny
Yeah.
when you get up there and no, no, it's not
It's
funny.
different, isn't it? Like what's funny on
Oh
paper is
yeah.
very different than what's funny on stage. And
Oh
there are people
yeah.
that I know that say no, I don't want. They don't even want to go to an open mic to test out. They say no, I need to get it ready. I do, dude. Your piece of paper doesn't know if it's ready. You need to like perform it. You need to verbalize
Yep.
it in front of people,
Yep.
and for a bunch of reasons. But one of them is, is it funny when it comes out of your mouth?
It's
Or is
it's
just the imagery of it funny to you inside your head?
it's your delivery and your confidence. That's all it
Yeah,
is.
right. I remember going to I said I just want to go to this open mic, um, so that I can feel what it's like to hold a mic in my hand, to be on stage, to have a light
Hmm.
in my eyes and not see anybody except maybe the front row, right? So that when I
Hmm.
do go on stage, I'm not with the mics going, oh wow, I can't see anybody. I didn't want any of that. I wanted to get
Hmm.
over that shit, so that I could say, okay, now that I'm comfortable, maybe I can deliver what I want to say a little bit better.
Hmm.
What was that stupid thing, Keith, that you said that made people laugh? Dude,
Um, I said, I said they're giving driver's licenses to anybody. Um, I said I was driving the other day and a retarded dude and we can't say that today. You can't say that today. So I said that. I said this guy pulled up next to me, blowing his
okay.
horn, and he was
Yeah,
blowing his horn a certain way, and
yeah.
I kept doing it, and they started laughing at that. And then I said, he even had a personalized plate, UHNNN. And I said, what your license plate say? And he said,
No, no, no.
And they laughed for 30 seconds. And I stood there like looking around like, what just happened? And I'm like, and then they started repeating it in the crowd. You stupid. And when you hear black people say you stupid, that means you
That's
funny.
funny. That's funny. Yeah, that's right. Could you say that? Could you say that today on stage, though, Keith?
No, no, you cannot say that word. No, you
What
can't
if
say
you?
that word.
Okay, so now the reason it's funny you said that, because I'm similar to you. I'm walking. My wife will tell you I walk around with my notebook now wherever I go, and if I don't have a notebook, uh, I have a notebook. I went to a comedy show the other night, and this was one of the shows. I don't know if you know the comedian Mo Amer. Um,
Mm-mm.
he's from Houston. He's got a couple of Netflix specials. Anyways, I went to go see him, and he's practicing for his next hour. So you had to put all your phones in those bags that they lock.
Okay.
So I took a pen and a small pad in my pocket, and I said, if I hear anything that says, "Oh shit," that makes sense, or not to write down what they say, but things sort of pop into your head. So I was jotting down notes. But to get back to the story, I'm at Walmart on Saturday, and Walmart has never been busier. And I think it was because it was going to be closed on Sunday, because of Easter Sunday. So I'm in there, and I'm walking from my car to the entrance, and this Asian dude starts yelling at a Muslim woman in her big 4x4, saying, you can't drive, and starts using the R word at her. Um, and then he says to her, Asian guy says to the Muslim woman, go back home, go back to where you came from. Anyways, it got my blood boiling, but then I was thinking about it. And I said, saying the R word didn't get my blood boiling because I don't know whether she was, but go back home. I said, that's interesting. The Asian guy's telling me it's like two
Like
people
you,
that aren't from here,
yeah, like oh, well, let's go then.
you know?
Wow,
Exactly. You
that's
guys are going
hilarious,
together.
man.
You know? And so
Wow.
I'm going, y- so I'm writing it down and I go, I gotta, how do I say this without saying the R word? So I said, maybe I just forget the R word and just talk about, you know, like two people that are definitely not from here are telling each other to
Hmm.
go back to where they came from.
Hmm. Hmm.
That is funny.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
that first joke of yours, oh, I would die laughing.
That was, and that was my first gem.
Mm,
If wherever I said that, it got a laugh.
yeah, that's interesting.
And I would also do an act out with it when I would do it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I would act out like I'm in the car looking at him and he's looking at me, and he's blowing the horn, and then when I hit the punchline, that's when it was an explosion.
you just went over and over. Yeah, yeah, kept on
Yeah.
tagging it. Yeah, 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 for sure. Um, I wanted to ask you this. I first saw you. We met on a cruise ship. Um, you obviously you've got jokes or bits for that crowd.
Hmm.
Um, how do you prep for that? Because when you get paid to get on, whether it's the Princess or Celebrity or Norwegian or whatever cruise ship you go on, you can't practice there. Like right, they're hiring you for you got to have your 10, 15, 20, whatever. You got to have your set ready. How do you practice for specific audiences where that audience is not there? Does that make sense?
You really just, if I think something is funny,
Yeah.
then I can't wait to say it.
Okay.
And pretty much, if I think it's funny, it's and the way I deliver it and with the confidence behind it,
Yeah.
um, and a lot of times you don't know, you just say something and it gets this explosion, and
Mm.
you didn't even know that was going to happen. Like you weren't expecting that. Like, oh wow. So I'm not
Yeah.
the only one that feels this way about the buffet or the elevator or
Mm.
flushing the toilet
Hmm.
while you're sitting on it or something crazy or whatever. So,
Yeah.
and then depending on what ship you're on, if you're on a Norwegian ship, you're on there pretty much 2 to 3 weeks.
Hmm.
So if you try a joke with this crowd this week and it gets a certain response, you can try that again the next week with the
Mm.
next crowd, and then the next week with
There
the
you go.
and the whole time you're adding tags and you're saying it a little different until it's polished.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I can't wait to say this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Keith, when did it occur to you, or when did you realize, or has this ever happened where you're at this point in your journey in your comedy career where you go, I've made it, man. This is my this is what I do.
You're asking, have I gotten to that?
Have you gotten to you? Yeah, I mean, I don't mean so sometimes when I ask, have you ever made it? People have this sort of, once I get an HBO or a Netflix special, I've made it. Or once I headline this particular club. And maybe it's that for some people. Maybe for other people, it's like I got enough that I can quit one of my three jobs or whatever it is. So it's different for different people. So I'm curious if there's a made it moment, for you, or if there's something you're still striving for so that you could look at yourself and go, I've made it.
I think it's still a lot of stuff that I haven't done.
Hmm.
I think one of the a few best moment, a few great moments that I've had was one was it was a weekend where I was supposed to. At first, it was supposed to be me and two other guys all doing 30 minutes. I think all three of us were going to do 30 minutes or something.
That's awesome.
And that got canceled because DL Hughley,
Yeah, yeah.
he took that he took that weekend. So the manager called me and told me, um, he said, I got some bad news, we're gonna have to cancel that date. So and he said, DL usually brings his own feature. So I
Hmm.
said, okay, well, do you have a MC? And he said, you would MC? I was like, of course I would MC.
Yeah.
With DL, are you serious? Yeah.
Hmm.
So he
Hmm.
said, okay, I'll put you on as the MC. I said, cool. So then he calls me the day before the gig and he says, I have some good news and I have some bad news. And I'm like, oh man, come on, man. He said the bad news is um it's only going to be a two-man show, so we don't need an MC. I said, okay, well, he said the good news is DL didn't bring a feature, so I'm bumping you to feature, and it's a two-man show, and you get to do 30 minutes in front of DL, five sold out shows the whole weekend.
Come on. Come on.
Man,
Come on.
the best weekend of my life in comedy. And
Look at
he
that.
came on stage and gave me props in front of everybody, and yeah, that right there was yeah,
That's
that was
beautiful.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is beautiful, man. That is
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. But I haven't been
That
on TV yet, so
yeah, that's all right. One
I would
day. Yeah.
love,
Yeah.
to be on TV.
Yeah.
Like the biggest crowd I've been in front of was almost 3,000 people
Wow.
with the jumbo screens on both sides.
Hmm.
And I was the opener, and I had them laughing from the beginning,
Yeah.
my whole set before the first headliner came on stage. So
Yeah.
just to hear that roar of laughter
Yeah.
from that many people, yeah, that was the next one. But yeah, I would love to do something on like at a coliseum or stadium or TV or something.
That's amazing, man. What did you
Yeah.
learn from from those five shows? Whether you learned it from yourself performing, or you learned from sitting in the green room with him.
We did talk in the green room. We had a lot of conversations, and I think that helped my confidence go to the next level.
Hmm.
Um, because one of the wait staff said that he came out the green room like, "Who the hell is that?" Because
Okay.
I was,
Sure.
yeah, it was a great. I don't know what it is about Indianapolis, man. Indianapolis, man. They laugh like they haven't laughed before. So they were hollering. So I'm like,
Nice.
man, they think that's funny? Oh, okay. All right.
Interesting.
Well, I ain't even said my good jokes yet. So, all right. But yeah, that was when my confidence went to the next level. They let me do 30 minutes in front of this man.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, you talked earlier about you don't even know, talked about earlier where you're just getting your feet under yourself, and you haven't yet found your voice or your style. When did that happen for you? How long did that take for you?
I think it takes a couple of years, especially if you record yourself and you watch yourself on video,
Hmm.
because I always tell new comics, it's good to record yourself audio,
Yeah.
but you want to see what you do on stage because some people they keep rapping the chord in their hand, or
Yeah, yeah,
they pace the stage, or um I think one thing I used to do that the security guard at the Funny Bone told me, like after I would tell a joke, I would look at the floor and
yeah,
just wait on them to stop laughing or whatever. It was like me searching for the next joke or just me waiting on them
mm,
to stop laughing. And he
yeah.
came up to me one time and he was like, what's on the floor? What are you looking at?"
Oh, that's interesting.
And I was like, "Huh?" So when I watched the video, I was like, oh, that's what he's talking about. Oh. So that made me mindful. And also, when you get into contests, you learn
Yeah,
something in every contest that, like, if you don't win or you don't make it to the next round, you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? And you
yeah.
watch those videos and you can see, what you did or what you weren't doing on stage.
That's really, really interesting.
So it take a couple of years.
Nice. Keith, this has been fun, man. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Listen, before we leave, where can if people wanted to follow you online, I don't know if that's something you do, if you got any social channels online or website, but where is there a place where people can follow you online?
Yeah, I mean, I have Facebook, Instagram, Keith Bender Comedy.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'll make sure to put a link in the in the show notes. Keith, this has been awesome. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Here's my radio voice. Thanks for tuning into this episode of My First Joke. I hope you had as much fun listening as I had chatting with Keith Bender. Listen, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe to My First Joke wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Share with your friends. Take a moment to rate, review, and five-star the podcast. The website is myfirstjoke.ca. My name is Karim Kanji. Until next time, remember.
Don't take life too serious because tomorrow isn't promised.